As mentioned, the practice session or the practice range for the game is probably to be used quite a bit, I would say, to get your swing under control, so that you learn how to swing the club and how to make good shots within the game. As you can see in the course selection, it only provides the practice range, and there's only one hole, so front nine and back nine don't really apply too much. The pins don't really apply because you're not really putting, you're more just on the driving range with a driver, your hybrids, woods, irons. You can putt, I suppose, but it would just be on the tee box, so that's of minimal value. Stimp meter, again, probably makes little or no difference. Gimmies doesn't matter, handicaps won't matter. The maximum number of players in practice is just one. As you can see, it's not available to change. The tees, again, probably don't make any difference whatsoever. The firmness, perhaps you might want to try, practicing in hard and soft conditions to learn how far your clubs fly, how far they roll, based on a hard, flat fairway, for instance, or a soft, flat fairway. That will aid you when it comes to in the game. If you're playing on a hard fairway, um, maybe it's not flat, or maybe it is flat. But at least then it gives you an idea of how far your ball will travel with a good strike on the ball and a good hit. Gimmies don't matter, mulligans doesn't really matter. I mean, you're on the driving range, so I've never heard of anyone taking a mulligan on the driving range. Last I checked, no one really counts or marks score on the driving range, so again, I think that's kind of almost pointless, but that's fine. And same with the difficulty setting. I don't think this matters, because once you do go to create your practice round, then you can choose your player, what mode it's at. Oh, maybe I didn't. Maybe I lied. No, I did lie, yeah. So by setting that level, it automatically changes whatever your player is. Even though this player is set at a hacker level, it's going to be played on the driving range at a beginner level. So let's change that. Let me go back to practice, and I'm going to change this to any, which is good. And then I should be able to use my custom player, which is basically my Tour Pro player with no sweet spot assist. It's turned all off. So then you can really see how bad I am. So when you start the practice range, of course it loads up. One positive, I must have the time of day set a little bit into night. But that's fine, it doesn't really matter. I guess this accentuates the menu items. Of course, the wind speed and wind direction indicator at the top center of the screen. You've got your setting menus in the top right with the cog or the gear icon. This little foldable piece of paper is the map. Well, the map just shows the map of the driving range, which most people don't need. This bird is a flyover view. Again, it shows a flyover of the driving range, but again, this would typically be used on a hole on a golf course as opposed to the driving range. So I'm going to stop that. Scorecard, again, no one keeps score, I don't think, on a driving range. I've never done it. I don't know if this adds up as you make strokes. I suspect it doesn't. Leaderboard, same thing, probably doesn't matter. This turns the grid on and off. As you can see, it's on. Looks pretty flat. There are no lines, no little white balls moving on it. Again, somewhat pointless, I think, on a driving range tee box. The pin, tend the pin. Again, I'm not putting, I'm not overly concerned about it. This one spots the pin, which again doesn't really make much difference. The pin's in the middle of the fairway at the end, doesn't matter. The club selection, clicking on that with the left button brings up the club selection where I can select a different club if I want to use, if I want to practice a pitch shot. Also, if you click on it again, it turns it off. This, of course, is the shot shaper. Bring that up, and again, the blue dot moves to tell you what shape of the shot you want. So here, if I move this to the left, it says it's a full swing and it's a draw, and this determines how much of a draw. So this would be the maximum draw you could put on, and perhaps somewhere here might be the minimum amount. And again, you can pick however much you want on a draw, similarly to a fade or a slice. Similarly, a high shot from maximum height to a minimum height, let's call it. And then a low shot, you can go to a lower trajectory and then a really low trajectory right at the bottom. And of course you can also go in the middle too somewhere. So this would be a low draw, as it says down in the bottom here. This is the lowest, highest, or the lowest flight with a maximum amount of draw, etc. It's fairly self-explanatory once you realize what this shot shaper is doing. Again, it's not adding top spin at the top or back spin at the bottom. It doesn't do that. Or side spin. I guess it sort of adds side spin a little bit with the draws and fades. But this isn't where you're striking the ball. It's not putting spin on the ball necessarily where this blue dot is. It's simply the trajectory of the ball after you made your swing. This yellow dot down here, if I disable it, now it basically allows me to swing without hitting the ball. I'm on the click method, and there I go. It swings, but it doesn't actually hit the ball. So this allows me, I guess, to practice my swing without actually having to hit the ball and wait for the ball to travel down the driving range. And this tells me what my power is. For instance, 105%, which is 100% would be 12 o'clock. It's slightly larger, slightly longer than that. So there's the 105. And the snap was 9.15 degrees. So I missed it by 9 degrees. This will likely result in a shot that goes well to the right. This one, 1.4 degrees, looks like a hair to the left. It's probably a little bit better snap and I think would result in a relatively straight shot. 98%, so I'm below the 100%, which means that the error or the miss hit of 4.4 degrees would be less exaggerated because I'm under 100%. If I was over 100% on power, then I would expect to see that 4.4 degrees, that error exaggerated a little bit more. So I'll hit a couple of shots here. I'll readdress the ball, let's call it. This is being addressing or backing away from the ball. So let's see if we can make a decent swing here on the ball. How come here we go. All right. So I've got this set up as a player camera, so I'm not following the ball. I don't have a tracer on. Actually, I do have a tracer, but it's very short, just so that I can see the ball. That screen popped up and showed me the screen afterwards, but it was a little too fast for me to digest all the information. So I'm going to change that post-shot display to manual so that I can read that better. This icon, of course, takes me back to where I was within the game or within the practice. So there I hit it right on 100%, but as you can see, 3.81 degrees early, which then promoted the draw on that shot. So now you can see the distance that the total distance, the carry distance, and the ball speed 151, launch angle 11 degrees, in out 14 degrees, and club face 1 degree closed, and the spin rate 2688, and the axis minus 14 degrees, promoting a draw. So I can do a replay, of course, just like within the game, and here's the follow cam, so now you can see where the actual ball ended up. Again, it's not that on the driving range you may want to watch this. Some find it a little monotonous and takes a long time to get through just to see this information, but again, that's up to you and however you want to make your swings and make your practice time the most effective that you can. As you can see here, I'm 3.22 degrees, a little bit late, and slightly over 100% power, but overall not a terrible shot, just off to the right. 263 yards total distance. I'm not sure what ball I'm using here. It might be the caliber ball, because I would typically have expected this to go a little bit farther than that. Mind you, I am heading into a 9 to 13 mile an hour wind, so that may be limiting the ball flight. Here, oops, I didn't hit that very well. That's going to be a big duck hook. A little bit overpower and a huge miss on the snap, so that wasn't very well done. And as it shows, only 208 yards distance, 71 degrees. Not very good. That's better. 118%, 1.74 degrees into the wind. We'll see see how much extra carry, extra distance I get. So there we go, 296 yards total. So this, on the range, it gives you this post-shot information, similar to if you were practicing with a launch monitor right next to you. Of course, you don't get this information on the course while you're playing, and that's true to real life, where when you're out on the course, you don't have all this information. You don't know exactly what your launch angle was, or you don't know your swing path. So it's only on the range that you get access to that information, let's call it. And but again, it gives you the feedback on the range, which is similar to real life. And if you can practice on the range, get your swing to a consistent tempo, consistent timing, and you'll end up hitting, I think, better shots. Again, it's on the driving range. You can change the club you're using and the shot type. So if you want to hit an 8-iron and you want to hit a pitch shot, actually a pitch shot, you can only select the pitching wedge as the maximum club. But here now you can practice your pitching with your pitching wedge. As you can see, it looks like I hit that one fairly well, almost right on the snap, 99% power, and it went 72 yards, even a little more than what it says here, 66. Now it's important to note though here that 66 yards carry, that's what that C means, and not the total distance. So if I do another one here, I didn't hit that one as well, but nonetheless, the carry, it says here, should be sort of the maximum of 66. Here we've carried it 64 yards, even though I was at 100+%, because I had a poor snap. It has taken the distance off of that chip, or off of that pitch, sorry. So again, you can practice here various clubs, various shot types, and again, even on a pitch type shot, you can select a higher or lower trajectory. This is the lowest trajectory you could. And although I don't have the tracer on, hopefully you can see. Well, that was just above the horizon there, up in the stars. Again, the nighttime really helps accentuate you can see the ball a little better. And if I go to the top, as the highest trajectory of this pitch, I will see how, as you can see, that went a little bit higher than that. So again, it's difficult to tell on a pitch, but on a full swing, I think you can see the difference, not only in the trajectory, but also the ball flight, especially with the wind coming at our faces here. So that's essentially the driving range. Again, a good place to craft your swing, learn how to hit hooks, slices, or probably more importantly, straight shots. Some people tend to always hit a hook or a draw. Other people may tend to always hit a fade or a slice. So again, you might want to aim off to one side if you know your tendency is to hit early, because then when you make that early hit just like there, as you can see, the ball's in the middle of the fairway or in the middle of the driving range. Maybe not the perfect straight ball flight that people may desire, but again, if it's in play in the middle of the fairway, that's kind of all that matters. All right, so again, that's the driving range, and I hope that helps.